do think it's brilliant that in this production, Simon Godwin, the director, reinforces the fact that it starts with a terrible shipwreck. There's a storm brewing and then cascading over all their lives. And then that water runs through the rest of the production. So, yes, fluid is a great word in that context.
Shakespeare enjoys shipwrecks because, of course, they're a very dramatic way to start your story. And it means that people can end up in foreign lands in which they need to put on a disguise or need to get to know new people. They embark on new quests.
You have two people, a boy and a girl, who go into the sea and come out of the sea and don't know who they are anymore. And what happens with that kind of liquid abrasion. And the fact that Viola then takes on her brother's identity in order to survive herself, but also to hold him close to herself.
We know Shakespeare himself had twins, a boy and a girl. We know that a few years before he wrote the play, one of the twins, Hamlet, the boy, died aged 11. So he went on to write this play, Hamlet, which in his oblique way is not about the death of a child, but a child dealing with the death of a father. And now he comes to Twelfth Night, in which, yes, here is this boy and girl twin, and they think each other has died.
There's an air of melancholy over it. There's a lot of references to melancholia in the play, and I think a lot of that is because at the seat of it is is grief and bereavement and unrequited love and all these things.
It's a comedy, but it's not a comedy for any of the characters. Every one of the characters is actually in quite a lot of pain. Every character is either in some kind of struggle, which is great. I think, the best comedy has drama and the best drama has comedy.
It is a comedy, but there's real darkness in there too, this sense of loss. And I always think that there's something about Olivia falling in love with Viola because they are both women who have lost a brother, and that they are twins in a way as well.
Adieu, good madam.
I think Shakespeare was doing a really interesting thing at the time about looking at identity and orientation, whether that be sexual or otherwise, and the nature of desire and why we long for human connection, and then why we long for a particular human being. I think he was asking a lot of very interesting questions then, particularly because it would be the young boys playing the female parts, so then you've got, the triple layers of identity confusion there.
I can't imagine how confusing it would have been to watch this play in Shakespeare's time, because it would be a guy playing a woman who then pretends to be her male brother, and
And also, thinking he's falling in love with a boy, but then he finds out that he's a woman. He's a girl.
Well, actually, it's a boy. Or maybe Shakespeare, a part of his reason for writing it was to make fun of that very convention.
But I do think that we have a very hot conversation at the moment about sexuality and gender and orientation, and there is a probably very healthy rebellion going on about definition.
No, that isn't me. A stranger getting nearer.
I think we are living in a gender revolution at the moment. They are barriers being broken down. I mean, it was Conchita Wurst in the Eurovision Song Contest in 2014, where previously the idea of a man with a full beard in a beautiful frock might have been completely unthinkable. You get people like Eddie Izzard, who happily strolls around in a beautiful frock, says, well, they're not women's dresses, they're my dresses. People like Grace and Perry, people who are constantly pushing in people's faces, basically saying, look, this should all be acceptable, and it is acceptable, accept me, take me as I am. And I think that's bold and will only help.
It's always exciting when art feels like it's risky and is on the borderline between order and chaos. Twelfth Night, as a carnivalesque event, especially in Shakespeare's calendar, was about the king becoming a beggar and the beggar becoming the king. So the sense of order, the sense of convention, the sense of religious behaviours, all being subverted and twisted and changed, as well as all the idea of love that's not what you expect, and boys becoming girls and girls becoming boys.
Give beans
So we've really tried to take the play's suggestions and gestures towards transgression even further.
By this hand. When we started rehearsals, I had this image in my head, and I don't know where it came from. It was, a moment of inspiration and grace, but popping corn is really hard. It's kind of like a ball bearing. It seems like you can't, it's not used unsplittable like the atom. But you put a bit of heat under it, and it goes, and it becomes this thing, and you cannot imagine that came out of that. And so we kept that as an image for Malvolia, who then became Malvolia. We go from someone who's incredibly controlled and afraid, and therefore everything is designated and manipulated and boundaried. And then put a bit of heat under her when she realises that she's loved, and she just goes wild.
There is a poignancy to Malvolia's discovery of herself as being gay, and it's something that I think will resonate with a lot of audience members who may have made similar discoveries themselves along the line. There's always that very gradual creep towards a penny dropping and going, oh, hang on, this is new.
When you update the play into a modern setting, then having a woman fall in love with a woman, it doesn't hinder the plot. For me, Tamsin, as the actor, makes it incredibly poignant. And I don't know whether that's because she's a woman. I couldn't say, really.
I think Shakespeare was very in touch with both his masculine and feminine sides, and I think that's one of the reasons why his work survives so strongly today, is because it resonates so much with so many of us, regardless of our gender, our sexuality, our romantic inclinations.
Boy.
Even at the end, when all is revealed, the Duke still refers to Viola as boy. So there's a part of him that just doesn't even care. He's fallen in love with a person and doesn't really care how that person identifies gender-wise. If I could just find myself one of those, that would be marvellous. But it's that journey of discovery of actually gender is just something that we perform. It's just something that we wear, and doesn't change the person that you are.
Before we're men, before we're women, before we're black or white, we're human. And that's kind of what this show is trying to almost remove the layers that we've imposed on ourselves of gender and race and religion, all those things. And it's just tried to show a group of humans. And then you find that even when we shift the things around, the gender, the things like that, they're still human and they're still real and beautiful in their own ways.
Well, I have just had twins myself. So I'm sitting here in week 5 of rehearsals with my 11-week-old daughters. They're not a boy and girl, but they are twins. So I do feel that's a strange kind of sign from the universe that this is probably the play that I should be working on.